All right, greetings everybody. Welcome to the Media Files fan commentary podcast. So we're continuing the ongoing adventures of Batman and Robin for the 1943 serial. So if you have your DVDs ready, or if you're on YouTube, please go to Chapter 3, The Mark of the Zombies. And so with that, here we go. Playing in 3, 2, 1, play. All right, here we go. Chapter 3, The Mark of the Zombies. So, of course, if you remember last time we were here, Batman and Robin ended on a cliffhanger, as it always does. So, pretty much as usual, the font for the opening credits here is basically the same throughout the entire series, as always. Obviously, except for the chapter number and the title of the chapter, what's going to be happening. But, yeah, shall we say, this time around, we're going to be a little more crazy. Not by much, but still. So let's get on with it. Chapter 3, The Mark of the Zombies. And, Daka's lost his radium gun. And so here we are with the a recap of the ending fight scene from the last from chapter 2. And of course, they tend to do this all the time with with cliffhangers. They kind of give a small recap of what happened, but it's a little bit shorter than last time, obviously. But of course, that was always kind of the thing. Kind of doing what you need to do, kind of do a small recap, and then continuing on from there. But although, if you kind of notice, though, the music sometimes does change when they go from chapter to chapter. Sometimes they will change the music up for the fight scene. But, what do you say? Man, tightrope walking, look at that. You don't see that hardly in movies anymore, or hardly ever. But, yeah. So, uh-oh. Yeah. Gotta love the intensity of how Batman's literally smoking somehow. But, man, that's gotta be hard to do. But, yeah. Oh, look, Robin made it down all right. And, of course, if you guys remember at the end of the Bat's Cave, it ended right there, except for that shot right there. And, of course, when Robin throws the rope there, that's literally the beginning of, this chapter of where the story itself actually continues. But Fletcher trying to shoot him and stuff, but that didn't work out too well. I mean, you can usually tell that sometimes they shoot daytime for night, but what are you gonna do? They got away with the cable. Ooh, so yeah, so if you kind of notice that some of the terms that they use for, calling him a quote unquote squint eye, basically, that's kind of what they, Americans called, the Japanese during the war. Obviously, it's, not very nice thing to say, but, I mean, that's kind of thing, that's how things were back then. But, so, silence! You gotta love how Daka always gets mad. The Batman is a rank amateur. So if you haven't noticed, so Martin Warren is basically still captive, from Daka and whatnot. But of course, with Martin, he's basically saying, he doesn't really want to do, be part of Daka's thing, but you know, he's still in the American fight, basically. But yeah, so if you notice, he says Pat and George the Doors. Those are two zombies that you'll see constantly throughout this entire the entire serial. But but he tends to change the way he says it quite a bit. But there's always two guys named Pat and George. But so introduced to the zombie chair. So But of course, we kind of did notice this at first, but you know. So if you notice what he was saying there, he goes that we fight with, you know, we fight with our best, and obviously, mind you, like I said, throughout this whole when this series was made, obviously this came out in 1943, so America was still in the war, obviously heavy into the war with not just you know everybody, but Germany and all that stuff, but you know. I love how Warren has that look on his face, like, what is this? Looks very Frankensteinish, doesn't it? So saddy. Oh, I love J. Carroll Nash's acting as Daka. It's so great. I mean, you gotta love some of the old, you know, chemistry and neon lighting stuff. But I think some of that stuff might be from the Frankenstein movie, maybe. But I don't know. But I want you to pay attention to how Martin is compared to some other characters that we'll see later on. If you notice how Martin's just kind of sitting there, just taking it, you know, and uh, if you look out through the smoke, though, he slowly opens his eyes. It's very hard to see through that smoke, but then all of a sudden his head's down. But oh man, look at that zombie headpiece. There we go, the special microphone. And well, Daka has now another zombie. So now we have Pat. I mean, if you kind of count, he has roughly about uh, well, uh, well, I mean, he's got the one that was up in the first couple episodes, but then he has Pat and George, who are his door guys, and then of course, you have Martin Warren. So, but yeah, I love how you got that old classic grandfather clock, which I'm glad they still make those. But what's kind of interesting about this whole series is that you know this was the first one to kind of introduce that into the Batman lore, and it literally has stayed there since. But now we're coming back to the Japanese Cave of Horrors. So we never close. Yep. So if you kind of notice what the guy tells me, he says if we feel like it's our patriotic duty to kind of show the American public what the horrors of war is like during with Japan and with the U.S. fighting the Japanese and stuff. But obviously, we've seen this before. But there are a few things that we never really do get to see, except for a few shots. But of course, that guy will become important later on. But you know, one of Daka's guards, but and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, what can I say? This is kind of they always have a number 5 on their must be a 5-ring circle or circus or something like that. But see how it loses its so we have a good old new supply of radium that's coming in for Daka's radium gun, and coming through the through a supply train. So of course, what do we want to do? Let's come up with an evil scheme to blow up the supply train. Oh man, like I said, I just love his J. Carroll Nash's acting as Daka. It's so great the way he throws his accent out. And who do we have here? Oh, another guy. Then we have Foster returning. So they put an ad in the paper. Of course, Batman obviously did this to kind of trick the villains, saying, "Oh, hey, basically we found this weird, awkward, strange looking gum, but then they're like, we kind of know what this is, but we think it might be, you know." But you gotta love how Daka knows that this is the Batman is, you know. So that's kind of interesting of how Daka says that. Well, hey, if you could get the gun at 10, but let's lay a trap for Batman an hour earlier. Brenton Stone. I love that line. So you'll hear Daka say that throughout the entire series. Not, but remember, if it is the Batman who has this or that, the Batman must be destroyed. Just the way he says it, instead of killed or must die or something like that, it's always destroyed, which is great. That's just great. Old classic '40s dialogue, which they don't do that anymore. You can tell it's a daylight shot for a night shot. Hence, look at the shadow on the ground. So, well, then again, or it could be, very, you know, could be moonlight, but I think it's daylight, obviously. But, oh, look at that. Oh, Batman's prepared. And he always prepared, though. This is true. Right outside the window. But, ow. That's gotta hurt. I think he hit him with his shoe, I think. It's hard to tell, but I think he did. Obviously, he didn't hit him with the back of the newspaper, but although I will say, if you kind of notice, when it shows Alfred, if you notice his makeup, it'll be very similar later on in the next couple of episodes of this. But you just gotta love how, just look how ripped, they, Douglas Croft is as Robin. I mean, he's just absolutely ripped. Definitely worked out for them, but that's so funny. So, oh, you are? You're the owner of this thing? Yes, I am. The funny thing is, Batman's always standing right out there, and he doesn't even do anything. That's so funny. Batman's always just standing there, not doing anything. Obviously, just waiting. But well, got another search. But yep, it's kind of interesting how they didn't actually see him, you know. But of course, you have Stone looking around and whatnot. But if you notice, Batman doesn't even notice that Stone is there. But oh, Robin's very lucky. Very lucky. But kind of knows how quiet they're trying to be. But, you know, I love how quiet everything is. And now, of course, we get rid of the gun. But nice punch. I think Robin's got one better. Boom! Oh, that's gotta hurt. Oh man, great stunts in this, by the way. And Robin taking on him alone? Nah. Gotta have Batman's gotta have some fun, but oh man, you gotta love how these guys always get into the fight scenes and whatnot. They just go, they crank everything up at 11. I mean, yes, it's cheesy, but it's just great. Just get Scotland Yard. Yeah. Oh, that's too great. Obviously, with Alfred, with him being British and whatnot, obviously he's from, he fought, in one of Alfred's things that he used to fight in World War I, obviously, but which at least or some version of Alfred, but this version not so much. But we gotta love how they just keep going and going and going. Shooting blindly with his eyes closed. He got lucky. How many did you kill? 7. Nice. Nice lie. Love how Robin just lies. He's like, oh, well, we actually shot 2 of those guys twice. But, it's great. Oh. Left his coat behind. Oops. Ooh. 10 p.m. tonight. Ooh, interesting. Oh, that's great. That's great. You just, like I say, you just don't see this stuff hardly at all anymore. So obviously, we're heading off to the Westgate Bridge to try to blow up the supply train. Of course, which is what Daka wants to do to get the radium. But of course, Batman's got to interfere with everything. Of course, But hey, that's what's great about it. The villains never win. Batman always somehow manages to, you know, do up do something. But you know, very early for Robin to be driving, but you don't see that very often. But I mean, you know, uh, yeah. I mean, this is great. I have no idea if this was shot on in a studio or on an actual bridge or what, but you gotta love the how it looks. It's a train shot. Obviously, you can tell it's a model if you look at it carefully, but you can tell it's a model shot. Oh, they managed to find him. Yeah. Uh-oh. Train's coming. Go ahead. The Batman! Oh no! Yep, we got another fight scene. Generally, with every episode, you have roughly about two major fight scenes. But, this is great, though. I mean, having a train fight on train, or a fight on train tracks. This is great. Like I said, you don't see this type of stuff. Obviously, these were part of serial, how the serials were made. But like I said, in modern movies these day and age, you don't see everything would all be CG and all over this. But it's great. Got to defuse the bomb before the train comes. And there we go. Oh, got one of the guys knocked out. Oh, wrench to the head. That'll definitely knock you out. Well, there went Stone. And oh no! Oh no! Here we are, cliffhanger in chapter 3. Oh no! Robin. Nope. Well, there we go. So with that, you guys, it is chapter 4. Yeah. Oh man, leaving that intense, ending there. So yeah, I mean, what can I say? It's over pretty quick. And like I said, most of these episodes generally go for about 18 to 20 minutes, sometimes 25, depending on what type of story they want to tell. All right, you guys. So with that, hit commentary kind of ended a little abruptly, but what can I say? Sometimes these things kind of happen this way. But what can we say? So with that, make sure you guys keep it here, like, subscribe, check out the channel. Uh, Link will be posted on the Patreon page. So with that, you guys, remember, same bat time, same bat channel, and with that, come back and enjoy Chapter 4, The Slave of the Rising Sun, right here on the Fan Commentary Podcast.